almost 8.5% from 14th March lows. That's the kind of rebound. Look at that, days high. Pull up mid-cap index as well. From the peak of pessimism on 14th of March, we have rebound almost 7%. Pull up the last 1 month chart, that will capture. So it's a very good day to have someone on the show who's a specialist in mid-cap, small-cap. Well, he doesn't look at stocks in the market capitalization base. It turns out that he's a specialist in that area and has built a firm around stock picking. Of course, a veteran for over 20 years in the stock market. But today, Vikas Khemani joins me in the studios on a very special occasion. Vikas, afternoon. Thank you very much. Good day to have you because small cap, mid cap has sprung back, especially the quality pockets have come back very nicely. And you are about to launch a Bharat Amrit Kaal fund. Now, the moment I read about it and I came to know about it, I was very curious to have you and great that you obliged us. The point I'm trying to say is that our policymakers and leaders have been speaking about Amrit Kaal and Viksit Bharat ambition for some time now.
Yes.
But by the looks of it, and we interact with top business leaders, policymakers, it appears that things are much more concrete and getting better with each passing day. I want to start our discussion today on the thinking behind this particular fund and what are the building blocks which you are seeing that you think of launching this special fund.
Thank you, Ajay. It's always great to chat with you and thanks for having me on your show. So I think the idea is, most of the time people when zoom in, you look at here now short-term volatility. And our idea is to zoom out and see, when you zoom out and see what could be potential over next 20, 30 years as India is developing, as India is transforming, that perspective is which we are trying to build. And first of all, of course, we have a leadership which has given, and it's a great thing that we have such leadership which has given a developed country of Viksit Bharat by 2047 as India becomes 100. So what are the potentials and what are the possibilities and why this time around it will happen, why we believe that will happen, and if it happens, what are the opportunities? And that is what we try to outline in this fund, and that is what we are going to capture in this. And that's the whole theme, that India will move from $3.7 trillion GDP to $29-30 trillion over next 23 to 24 years. Per capita we will move from $2,600 to $18,000. Our world share GDP will go to 16%, which is right now in and around 4%. So I think as this transformation happens, and it has happened elsewhere in the in the past, so same thing will happen in India. And so that is the whole idea, is to zoom out, look at what are the possibilities and how we can create supernormal or superior wealth in this period of Amrit Kaal as India is embarking on.
Sure. Let me scratch that point a little more while you may have a sip of water. I want to talk about the last few years of this leadership. In fact, from 13 when Mr. Modi was announced as the PM candidate, from there to 2024, we have been almost 10 years now.
Yes.
And the bull run has continued.
Yes.
I want to understand the kind of reforms already happened. Railways, infrastructure, airports, manufacturing, electronic manufacturing, many others. You see this momentum continue in a broad-based fashion even from here on, because people are questioning, ab kya naya, what new will happen?
No, I think, one important thing to understand, last 10 years we have built foundation. Massive reforms have been carried out on the economics reforms. IBC, RERA, GST, which have been pending for very long, have been carried out. We have done digital infrastructure, which has kind of built a very significant base for growth. And lastly, infrastructure reforms. We are seeing today massive infrastructure is getting built across the board: ports, roads, railways, airports, everything, right? So this foundation is laid, and based on this foundation, you can build an building or imarat which is Viksit Bharat over next 20-25 years. That's the dream. And more importantly, I think there are many tectonic shifts which have happened in this. Sure. And I think why we believe this time around this is possible is there are 6 tectonic shifts. And it's very important to understand. Once you understand that, you will have a lot more conviction around India.
Please go ahead and explain.
So first big shift which has happened is that India has moved from incremental thinking to exponential thinking. Historically, everything we wanted to do in 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. Today, everything has to be done at a speed, at a scale, and in a short period of time. That exponential thinking is a very, very big departure from the past. Secondly, historically, if you've seen, we've always operated from constrained mindset. India is a poor country, we can only do so much. Today, you don't have that narrative. India has moved from constrained mindset to no constrained mindset. Gadkari has said that, we have no shortage of money, right? Whereas earlier, we said we don't have money for defense. So today, money is there for defense, infrastructure, welfare, everything. Very different, big change. Third big thing which has happened is that India has historically looked towards West for the solution of its own problem. today India is finding its own solution to its own problem, whether it is COVID, or whether it is UPI, or even if you look at, the world is still talking about universal basic income, but India has implemented already in form of DBT. Yeah. So India is finding its own solution. Fourthly, India is innovating at scale at low cost. Whether again it is payment, or if you tell any foreigner that in less than $2 you can get unlimited data, it is unheard. So India is innovating at scale at low cost. Another very big change which has happened is that historically you had only a model of socialism or capitalism. India displayed first time in the world that you can have social welfare and development can coexist. It is not at odds with each other, and that's a very big departure from the past, right? And last but not the least, I would say India does not sit anymore in the corner at the global stage. We all have felt and seen that India takes center stage. India has a huge stature difference, and when you look at that today, India is calling out an important voice in everything globally, and that has a huge economic multiplier impact. So according to us, these big tectonic shifts, right, will lead to three things: strength, scale and speed. We are the most populous nation on the planet, we are the most youngest nation on the planet, and we are the most aspirational nation on the planet. So whenever you have these three things, it creates huge wealth. Like let us say any company over 20 years which has created massive wealth, anything you can take, Asian Paint, HDFC Bank, Astral, any company you can take, you will find three things: strength, scale and speed. So if it happens at the company level, we have seen and felt, same thing will happen at the country level. You will see these three things, and this will lead to a massive wealth creation cycle over next 10, 20, 25 years period. And that is what our thought process is, to tell people that stop looking at this 1000 plus minus correction point, look at big picture and how things can pan out over
excellent point. And as the country, the participants are increasing at every level. Traders are increasing, investors are increasing, number of 1,000 crore net worth people are increasing in Mumbai like no other region. You may have read the report. I want to understand that where this money should be going. I see that you're talking about certain areas of growth: BFSI, manufacturing, service exports, infrastructure and consumption. How are each of these places looking in terms of potential profit growth? And hence you'll be spotting for companies here.
So again, we try to bucket for 5 buckets, like you said, all 5 of them. And within that, there will be an opportunity. There will be, each sector will actually transform. So like to give an example, BFSI, we all know we benefited a lot from this, right? But if I were to tell you in 2000, the total market cap of the BFSI was $9 billion.
That's it.
Today we have a $1 trillion market cap. So we have seen massive value creation. Interestingly, in 2000, large part of the market cap was only in PSU banks and NBFC. Today, financial services at $1 trillion is 15%, which includes insurance, brokerages, wealth and all those things, right? So in 20 years, you saw new segments emerging about. So as we move forward over the next 20-25 years, you will see many more segments coming about, and building. So it is our job to identify trends within sub-trends within mega trends and invest into those opportunities. As India, becomes global nation and globally integrated, bonds come, commodities will come. Newer and newer opportunities will come. We didn't have mutual funds before. Today we have. We didn't have wealth platform today. Today we have. So all those things will keep changing. Same way, in manufacturing.
Yeah, manufacturing I want to talk to you about, because we were nowhere in manufacturing. Government-led push is leading to massive manufacturing. Yes. We are seeing some amazing companies getting listed as well. Which part of manufacturing do you see massive earnings blast happening? So
there are 5-6 segments which we are very bullish, but new segments will come: pharma, defense, auto component, EMS. You will have even chemicals. So each of them will, even textiles. So these are 5-6 segments which will become very big. An example again like to give is that, so let's say pharma industry, let's take for example, the total industry size is about $50 billion. Total market cap today is $200 billion. This $200 billion in last 20 years has grown at 18x, right? And many companies in that period has become 100x and 200x. So a sectoral growth wealth has got created. This $50 billion, by the time Amrit Kaal ends, will become $450 billion. It means pharma itself would have a market cap of $2 trillion. From $200 billion to $2 trillion. Within that, many companies will become far more bigger than that. Today we are large in generics, but going forward we will have very large in APIs, we will have innovators coming about. Sure. So sector will transform. And again, it is a job of people like us to identify those emerging companies within those emerging segments and create superior wealth. So like this, I can go on even in automobiles, go on in chemicals.
So this is one is the legacy manufacturing which is growing.
Yeah.
What about the new age manufacturing, engineering, R&D, defense, railways? What are your thoughts about here?
All these are big opportunities. At defense, we will see massive wealth creation, massive opportunity size, auto component, like you said, engineering, we are going to see massive wealth creation. And, long term, when it looks like it's big, but it happens, right? It has happened in front of our eyes. If I told you that pharma has created $200 billion market cap in last 20 years, but 20 years ago, it wouldn't have kind of
You have actually used a very interesting quote in presentation which you shared me, which says that a lot of people, we overestimate what happens in the short term, and we underestimate what is likely to happen in the long term.
It's said by Bill Gates that most people overestimate what can be achieved in 1 year, underestimate what can be achieved in 10 years.
10 years, fair point.
And the classic example of that I can give you, the total corporate profitability of India today is $150 billion. In 2001, it was $8 billion. If I had this chat with you in 2000, that one company's profit will be more than $8 billion, I probably would laugh at me,
wouldn't have imagined,
right?
yeah.
But today, Reliance's profit is more than that, right? Sure. And that has happened. So, and this 20x or more than that growth in our earnings have happened despite we have all kind of government changes, global financial crisis, 3G scam, 4G scam, Fragile 5, demonetization, GST implementation, IL&FS crisis, pandemic, Ukraine war. You can think of everything possible that has happened, right? Despite that, we have grown. And my belief is that this $150 billion by 2035 will become $1 trillion. And even if I give 18-20p, our market cap will become $18 to $20 trillion.
That's the big headline.
It means Nifty will become anywhere close to in and around 1 lakh, 5x from here. And if you outperform by 2, 3, 4%, you can make 7x return, because small compounding over a long term makes a big difference. So we have, and our whole thought process of telling investors is that when you zoom out and look at opportunity from a long term perspective, your perspective is very different. You don't worry then about here and now market correcting 2%, 5%. Then you look at and see, I need to create wealth over this period of time. And we just try to show one statistics that 10 crore invested today, if you compound at 18%, by the time Amrit Kaal ends, it will become 450 crore.
My goodness.
This is the kind of compounding.
No wonder all these market-related infrastructure, asset management, wealth, everything is growing.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about your style of stock picking now. We all see glimpses of that every now and then in the bull deal data. But I want to understand specifically what do you look for in terms of profit, management capabilities, how do you assess? Sectors, I understood. And you've given us a big framework that we should be looking at and operating in. But what's your style of stock picking?
If you see, any investing is only 3 things: quality business, quality management, and reasonable valuation, right? But everybody does it differently, right? So we have our own way of it, right? So first of all, we do a detailed forensic analysis before investing into any company. We will never take corporate governance risk in our portfolio.
So the books should be clean and all of that.
And people have to be clean. Never bet on crook.
Okay.
Because that is the biggest risk, right? So we have very, very clear on that. That is something we will not do, because that's important, that what you will not do. Secondly, what we look at specifically, what we are internal thing is that what we call magic basket, where we typically can get both earnings growth and valuation re-rating. That is where we make big money, and that is where we have created our own proprietary framework. That what are the situations when it happens? How do you play? So whole manufacturing themes shift strategy came out of that framework. Stock picking like ICICI Bank, Aditya Birla Capital, Cipla, all came from that framework. So that framework allows us to identify companies ahead of the curve, and and that is where you make a lot of money. Secondly, I think our thing is that never invest into what you don't understand. So in last 5 years, we avoided all the new age, new tech investments, because we believe that this is never, we don't understand, and I don't know how they will create value. So we avoided accidents, right? But we internally say that if there's a tailwind, identify the tailwind and park yourself on a right ship. It will take you far. How far, nobody knows. But as long as you are sitting on a right ship and there's a tailwind, you will go there. So our job is constantly to identify those right ships and tailwind.
But you are able to identify a company with 20-30% kind of earning visibility?
Absolutely. What I told you, like let's say if our corporate earnings are going to grow at $150 billion to $1 trillion, it will grow at 14-15%, and we have to at a corporate level and at a country level, and we have to identify a company at 20%. And I don't think that's difficult. I think you have to stay away from narrative. Like for example, whole of last 1.5 years, there's a narrative that IT is not doing well.
Yes.
But if you look at companies in my portfolio, most IT companies are up between 50% to 200%. So if you stay away from narrative and focus on the on the core and say, can this company grow? What is the segment growing? What is the sub-segment growing? You can do well on that.
Excellent, Vikas. Thank you so much for helping us understand this point. And a lot of times it's not about day-to-day market, month-to-month movement, but driving the bigger picture so that the new age of investors which are joining the universe and the ecosystem also have an eye on the bigger picture for wealth creation, not only just making money. Thank you very much for stopping by today.
Thank you, Ajay. It's always good to chat with you.